Heaven and hell. Those words mean so many different things to so many different people. But one thing we can say for sure is, life is short. And if you're looking for extension, you'd best do well, because there's good deeds and there's good intentions. And they are as far apart from each other as heaven and hell. Words well worth keeping in mind when we listen to tonight's story. Another fantastic one from Dr. Creepin's Vault, the subreddit I set up so you could share your stories with me and I could read them all for you. Now, my dear friends, it's the start of another week, and once again you deserve to sit back and relax with your favorite drink, because it's time to listen. I woke up to the sounds of yelling and breaking glass. My parents were arguing, like they did on most nights. Mom usually got pissed and threw things at my dad. I assumed what had broken was a cup or a vase. My dad was an alcoholic, like his father and mother alike. I guess alcoholism ran in my family. Well, addiction, I should say. "Calm down. You'll wake the kids," my father yelled. I was the oldest of four, and I was the only male. My sisters were all 2 years apart, whereas I was older than my next-born sister by 4 years. I was 18 and just graduated high school a month before. I was awaiting ship date off to boot camp. It was only about a month away, and I had already done everything I'd wanted to do before I left. Growing up, I was always afraid I'd end up like my father. Yet here I was, following his steps and becoming a Marine. Funny how life works, isn't it? "Put down the goddamn knife," yelled my father. My mother was always afraid of my father when he was drunk. Not because he'd hit her or anything before, but because of his PTSD. She didn't really know how post-traumatic stress disorder worked, but she assumed he would snap one day and confuse us as Taliban. My father caught a shrapnel to his knee while on tour in Iraq. He was the only survivor of a mine explosion that wiped out his squad. The lucky bastard had stopped to tie his boot. He was discharged after he returned to the US. I guess the military has no need for damaged soldiers. "Don't move," my mother yelled at the top of her lungs. I decided I'd had enough and left my room to confront them. I rushed down the stairs of our 2-story house and headed straight for the kitchen. There, I saw my mother and father arguing, as they always were. I got in between them and took the knife from my mother. I placed it back in its place on the knife rack and proceeded to de-escalate the situation. After about 5 minutes of talking sense into them, my father decided he'd sleep on the couch, and my mother went up to her room. I truly hated my family, not because they were annoying or anything, but because they were all so stubborn. Even my youngest sister, who was only 10. When I went back to my room, it was finally quiet, and I could finally sleep. When I woke up again, it was to the familiar sound of yelling. I got out of bed once again, annoyed, but then I realized my mother and father were yelling simultaneously. Unlike their usual bickering back and forth, I thought this was strange, but I went to check anyway. As I opened the door and walked out of my room, my heart sank down to my chest. From where I was standing, I could see 3 hooded figures holding down my parents, and 2 others standing outside of the doors to my sister's rooms. I reacted fast and ran to my room, but one of the intruders got to my room in an instant. Surprised, I stood there, frozen in shock. As he walked towards me, I thought of what I could do. There was no escape. The window to my room was too small for me to jump out of. I allowed him to get 3 feet away from me, and then I took notice of the color of his eyes. It was dark in my room, but his eyes seemed to glow, a red glow that resembled that of blood. I snapped out of my trance and grabbed the knife I kept in my pillowcase. He seemed shocked that I'd been able to move. I took that as a chance to fight back. I stabbed him in the neck and checked his pockets for a weapon. He had none. As I tried to run out of the room, he caught me by the shoulders. I was shocked that he was able to move so fast. God, is he human? I thought to myself. He led me out of my room and down the stairs to join my family, who were now all in a corner, unable to move. They seemed to be in a trance-like state. I tried to move, but to no avail. His grip was tighter than anything I'd ever felt before. It felt like I was trying to move a brick wall. I joined my family, and one of the intruders walked up to me with a terrifying stare. It's no use. The kid doesn't take effect. This little bastard even stabbed me. Ooh, he's fast. I'd watch out for him, said the intruder with a deep tone. Well, you always were the weak one, the intruder closest to the front door said with a chuckle. No, he's right. I'm older than you, and my stare has no effect, said the intruder right in front of me. Her accent sounded as if she was French. She reeked of blood, but I couldn't help but be charmed by her. She was the most gorgeous woman I'd ever seen. I noticed then that all of the intruders were actually quite attractive, even the man I'd stabbed. So, what do we do, Your Highness? Mockingly said another intruder. Kill them all, except for the kid who stabbed Ipos, said the beautiful woman standing before me. Why keep him? Do you think Lucy will like him? Said the man Ipos. She stood there without saying a word, as if in deep thought. Gomari? Said another man. Yes, I do. Now, hurry on, please. We need to get back and show this kid to Lucy, said Gomari, the woman standing before me. No, take the family. This kid is one of us. I could smell it on him, said one of the men near the stairs. I thought so, but are you sure? No need to make a mess at home, said Gomori. Yes. Lucy enjoys the transformation process. Take 'em all, said the man who'd sniffed me out. In a moment's notice, my vision began to blur, as I noticed the woman was no longer standing before me. Had she gone behind me? I passed out, awaking to the smell of blood. Standing in front of me was a tall man with devilish red eyes. Today will be the beginning of your new life, son. You will lose a family to gain a new one. Understand? I said nothing, only watching as the events in front of me unfolded. It's no use, Lucy. The kid won't talk, said Gomori. Very well, then. Bring out the family, said Lucy. The man who was called Ipos brought out my family in chains, and they were all crying. I started to tear up, beginning to realize what was about to happen. My sisters looked terrified. Oh, I'll never forget their faces. I love you, I said to my family. Just then, I saw a flash, and my whole family dropped, gurgling and choking on their own blood. One of the men stood in front of them, with blood dripping from his long, black nails. I felt a wave of adrenaline fill my body, and right after it, a wave of anger. I was a calm person, and these feelings felt foreign to me. The man who had murdered my family walked up to me and grabbed my tongue from my mouth with the speed of a bullet. He cut a line into my tongue with his nails and began to let the blood of my family drip into the wound. My head began to pound, and my heart began to slow. I felt dizzy and fatigued. The last thing I saw as I was falling to the ground were the eyes of my father. When my head hit the floor, I let out my last breath, and everything went black. He's finally awake. I was beginning to think we'd made a mistake, said Gomori. I regained consciousness slowly, along with my senses. When I came to, I noticed that I felt different. I could feel my blood pulsating throughout my whole body. My heart was pounding. It had to have been beating 1,000 beats a second. My eyes felt refreshed, and for the first time I could see in the dark. It was a bluish tint in the darkness, but I could see perfectly fine. I was able to hear every noise in the house I was in, even the water moving through the pipes as I was in the basement. "Yes, it seems you did bring me a good one," said Lucy, with his eyes glowing, fixated on me. "You're one of us now. Some call us vampires, others call us demons. We are the souls of fallen angels in our true forms." Lucy said this as if having explained it numerous times. "I'm confused. Angels?" I said with a tone of disbelief. "We carry the will of the angels who fell from heaven. We were never cast into hell, for there is no hell, you see. This is hell. Earth. There have been numerous people through the ages who have been the same as us. I, my son, am the oldest, the one who has never died," said Lucy in a very serious manner. "My name is Lucifer, and I am the only fallen angel who have not died while here on earth. The others among us have all been reborn as humans and transformed the way you were. I am also the only one with wings." As Lucy said those words, I saw what I would never have thought was possible. Wings came out of his back in an instant, dripping blood from his torn skin, which seemed to have healed almost instantly. His wings were beautiful and white, with sharp talons on the ends of each side. My mouth dropped as I came to the realization that my life was about to change forever. "Come, my son, let us find out whose soul you carry," Lucifer said, beckoning me towards the door. As I walked towards Lucifer, taking in everything I had just heard, and mourning the loss of my family, I began to notice my thought process was different. Better, actually. As I reached the door, it felt as if all the feelings I'd previously felt had begun to dissipate. I no longer felt sad. Was this Lucy's effect? Was it because of what the man who'd murdered my family had done to me? Well, I couldn't tell, but I was quickly becoming accustomed to my new self. Honestly, I felt great. The fact I just witnessed the murder of the people I'd only ever truly loved didn't seem to faze me. While walking into the next room, I took notice of a very sweet smell. The man who had murdered my family looked at me and laughed. "Smells good, doesn't it, lad?" I gazed at him with no emotion, almost as if all humanity had been sucked out of me. He noticed. "No emotion, huh? Tough kid. Hey, Lucy, you better watch out. This kid might be the strongest we've had." "Settle down, Eligor. We've yet to test him," Lucifer said, while motioning me to a large stone. The stone was hollowed out, with a hole at the top. It was a beautiful piece, looked to have been 1,000 years old. "My son, from this moment on you will no longer be referred to by your human name, Michael," Lucifer said while gazing into my eyes deeply. He knew my name. I don't recall mentioning it, but, well, I shrugged it off. Lucifer's glance turned to a look of sorrow. "I once had a brother named Michael, but he sided against me." God, this man can't be serious. He expects me to believe he's the devil himself. I was wrong to think that, and I quickly realized so. With his nails, he cut deeply into my wrist, catching the blood in an urn and placing the urn into the hollowed-out stone. It lit on fire. Lucifer then grabbed the urn and poured the boiling hot blood onto my chest. I didn't feel a thing. As much as I'm sure it hurt, I couldn't feel a thing. Now eager, Lucifer commanded, "Remove your shirt, son." I did as I was told, and I noticed the look on his face. He looked absolutely horrified. He took a step back and stumbled a bit. "What is it, Lucy?" asked Eligor. "God, it can't be. Never in my life have I seen an archangel resurrected on earth." Lucifer stood still in shock, locking eyes with my chest with every word he spoke. The others came into the room, having heard Lucifer say those words. They all stood in disbelief. As I felt a sharp pain in my back, their eyes focused now on my eyes. "It appears you were right to bring him to me," Lucifer said, now seemingly normal. "So, who wants to kill him?" he said with a grin on his face. "Who wants a chance at Michael, the Archangel?" Neither of them stepped up. The man who'd sniffed me spoke out. "I want you to know the name of your murderer. I am Glassy." He lunged forward with incredible speed, but to my surprise, my eyes can keep up with his movements. He almost looks to be moving in slow motion, as the others seem frozen. I dodge his attack and take notice of my nails. They're white and long, and they appear to be sharper than knives. I turn around faster than Glassy, who is still looking forward, following with his attack. I guess I'm faster than him. I drive my finger into his back and pierce through his heart. Almost instinctively, I gash at his neck and force his head off. Wow, I never knew I had such strength, and killing Glassy felt natural. His body goes limp and thuds as it hits the ground. I turn to face the crowd, as they're all standing, amazed. Lucifer steps forward. It seems you are not meant to be one of us. Brother, have they sent you to terminate us?" Terminate them? Less than 24 hours ago, I had no idea they even existed. "Oh, say yes," a voice fills my head. "Yes," I mutter. Lucifer takes notice of my hesitation. "Is he speaking to you, Michael? Has Father finally decided to act on my behavior?" "Michael, you need to escape this residence, for you are not yet strong enough to take them all on. You cannot fail, for my soul resides within you. If you die at the hands of Lucifer, my soul does as well," says the voice with a serious tone. I look around for any exits, unable to find any. "Jump up with your fist held above your head. Your body will do the rest." I did as I was told and broke through the ceiling, entering the first floor from the wooden floors. I kept elevating, breaking through the skylight. I looked towards the direction of city lights, and my body simultaneously moved forward. I was flying. To my disbelief, I was actually flying. I then noticed the wings on my back. Black feathers from what I could see, whereas Lucifer's were white. I reached the city I was looking at in a flash, and quickly headed to the nearest building. I landed on top and began to ask, "Who are you? What's happening to me?" "I am Michael the Archangel. You are my body and I am your spirit. Do you understand?" "No, I don't," I said. "Look up, Michael. Can you see it? The kingdom of heaven. I am there and you are here. You are your own soul, but I possessed you once you passed. I killed the demon attached to your soul and took its spot. For helping me, once you die, you will be rewarded in heaven. I have only a few more minutes to speak with you. You must kill Lucifer and his followers. The death of Lucifer will end the evil they've caused. He lies. He was cast to hell. He escaped about 100 years ago. We've been waiting for a soul worthy enough of taking on the task. It appears we made a right choice in choosing you. If you worry about your family, well, I can assure you they are happy in heaven, even your father. If your parents no longer bicker, they only know love. Oh, your sisters asked me to tell you that they love you back. Now, fly to heaven once you've done as I asked." I felt a pop in my head and knelt down in tears. What has my life come to? As I look into the heavens and back down towards the place I escaped, I feel the urge I felt before. The urge to kill. Not strong enough. Well, I thought I could kill them all in an instant. Is Lucifer stronger than that man I killed? Was he faster? I did know he was older. That's it. Age. Gomori had mentioned that she was older, and that even her eyes took no effect. Is that how power is gained? Through age? I must be naturally stronger than most, because killing Glassy was way too easy. I'm sure Lucifer took notice of that. I decided then that I'd wait about a month before striking. Following them, as I was sure they'd make a run for it. Well, 3 days after I'd escaped now, I sat on a building. I'd learned quite a few things. My wings had talons on the ends, like Lucifer's, but my talons were red. They also seemed to resemble thorns, like that of a rosebush. I also learned to control them and fight with them. Moving them was as easy as moving my thumbs. I'd been starving since the moment I woke up in that basement. I've gone down to civilization to find food. I had no money, but I didn't exactly need it. Like the way my family was charmed, I could charm others. All I had to do was look deeply into a person's eyes. When I got to a mirror, I noticed a few differences. My once freckled face was now clean, no blemishes at all. The huge difference was in my eyes, though, as they were no longer brown. The glow radiating from them did not resemble that of blood, however, more like that of a waterfall. The clearest blue I'd ever seen laid inside my eye sockets. I really wasn't one of them, although I did feel somewhat similar. As I could tell, they enjoyed killing. My urge had grown stronger, and what scared me wasn't that it was just aimed towards Lucifer or his followers. No. Walking down the streets, I could sense a person's intentions. A terrifying ability, I have to say. Because more people than you'd expect have some dark, dark thoughts. Sinister intentions from a few, most wanting sex, but those that gave me the urge wanted to fulfill a different type of lust, a bloodlust. It made me sick. Before heading back to my rooftop, I took notice of a man. He was wearing all black, and of course, one of his accessories was a hoodie. It was about 11 p.m., and I could only imagine where he was hurrying off to. I followed him out of sheer instinct. His intentions had been the darkest I'd felt all day. As he proceeded towards an alleyway, I stayed close behind. Wings retracted. I acted as if I was walking out of the alley from the other side. I heard a lock click, and he entered a building from the side. When the door had opened, I could have sworn I heard muffled whimpers. My heart sunk as I came to the realization that my hearing hadn't deceived me. I felt a rush of adrenaline and then sped towards the door. Almost at the speed of light, I reached it. Breaking it down while running inside, I could smell the blood of about 4 different people. I caught the man and grabbed him by the throat. My mind filled with rage, I looked deeply into his eyes and asked, "Where are they?" He looked absolutely terrified and couldn't move. He glanced at a hatch that was somewhat covered by a pile of laundry. Using my nails, I cut into his calves so he couldn't run. Screaming with pain, he yelled, "Please, don't hurt me. I'm just doing my job." Job? What kind of job was this? I pried off the metal hatch with my bare hands and dropped inside. To my horror, I saw a camera and 6 cages. Inside 4 of the cages were girls about my age. In the 2 vacant cages were puddles of blood. I can only imagine what had happened to those 2 other girls. I turned around and saw an arsenal of tools and weapons. This sick bastard, I thought to myself. As I walked towards the girls, they all screamed and yelled, "Please, don't hurt me." It brought a tear to my eye. I had believed I was incapable of feeling anything but anger. Well, I guess I was wrong. I pried open the doors to all the cages and released each of the girls. I told them to memorize the address and then go straight to the police. I walked back towards the man whose legs I'd permanently damaged. He laid there, crying. I grabbed him by the throat and lifted him up over my head. With every ounce of strength I had, I squeezed my hand into a fist and completely destroyed the man's neck. He fell limp and unconscious. I knew he'd be dead soon. I left in a hurry, back on top of my rooftop within seconds. This wasn't what I was supposed to do, I thought. It felt great, though, to save those girls and give that sick bastard what he deserved. Maybe I won't go up to heaven after I'm done. Maybe I still had work here on Earth. 5 days had passed, and I'd gotten a lot stronger and faster. I haven't saved anyone else, but I've caught the trail of Lucifer. He was leaving town. Heading in his direction, I stayed close enough behind for him to not notice me. Now, the difference between him and I is, I never had to rest. I never got tired. His followers had broken into another house. Lucifer waiting outside, scanning the surrounding area, making sure nobody was around. Making sure I wasn't following them. But I was, and oh, was I stronger. Gomori stepped out and motioned Lucifer inside. This was their new hideout. They were smart. The house was the only residence in the surrounding area. I left and headed towards the city, only about 5 miles from the secluded house. I scouted the city for about a week and finally found the biggest gang there. I watched the gang for about another week, learning of their sinister crimes. Now, in the span of that week, I've watched them all bring in children and women, only to watch them taken out again in bags. It made me sick. I decided I'd had enough and dropped down to the floor from where I'd been watching. 2 guards in the front door aimed their pistols at me. Time to test out my power, I thought. I knew this gang had bigger guns. What do you think you're... I cut him off, moving faster than he could shoot. I appeared next to him and sliced his throat, impaling the other guard with a talon from my wing. They both fell without making a sound. I kicked open the door as if to make a dramatic entrance. I was greeted by 4 members with fully automatic weapons, AK-47s to be exact. I let them shoot. Seeing the bullets rush at me in slow motion, I created a gust of wind by flapping my wings in their direction. The wind was so strong, it shot the bullets back in their directions, killing 3 and leaving 1 hit in the arm. He looked at me, terrified, and said, "You messed with the wrong crew, fool. We have a whole army in the basement." I finished him by stomping his head into the ground. I didn't need to use much force to make it seem like he had exploded. As he said, 10 other people rushed up the stairs and stormed the living room with their weapons drawn. "You're for it now," said a man holding a 12-gauge shotgun. I smiled while looking into his eyes. They all shot simultaneously like a firing squad. I let every bullet hit me. They all watched as my body began to heal itself quickly, dropping the bullets that hadn't gone all the way through along with my dead skin. They all stood there with ghastly expressions on their faces. "You're the one who's for it, my friend," I said mockingly, but in a more serious manner. I rushed at all of them with my full speed and cut off all their heads with one swift move. I was wrong when I said my nails were as sharp as knives. Oh, they were sharper than swords. I sensed no other souls in the house and walked out slowly. I was ready. I jumped up and flew in the direction of Lucifer's hideout. I stood 10 feet away from the house, and my heart began pounding. I was about to slay the devil and his followers. This thought brought me nothing but pure joy. I had found a new calling, killing those who most deserve it. And this was my bloodlust. Standing there, now on the porch of the house, I waited. Adrenaline still pumping in my now cold veins from my last battle. More of a massacre, if you ask me. I knew he had sensed me, because I can sense him. As I suspected, the man I'd stabbed when I was still alive came out. "Epos," I said mockingly. "Hey kid, it doesn't have to be this way. Lucy just wants to talk." Talk? What could that bastard want to talk about? Was he afraid of me? "What's to stop me from killing you all right now?" I said with a chuckle. "You've yet to meet Bernal," Epos said with a serious expression. Should I kill him? Is he being honest? Was it a trap? These thoughts rushed through my mind like gunfire inside my head. I heard a creak coming from below me, and I jumped inside the house. As I looked outside, I saw a huge hand breaking through the floor I'd been standing on. Oh, it was a trap, I thought to myself. Scanning my surroundings, I noticed a flower pot with pebbles surrounding the flower. Epos rushed at me, but his speed was nowhere near mine. I grabbed a handful of the pebbles and rapidly threw them at him, each one going through his body like a .50 caliber bullet. As he lay on the floor regenerating his limbs, as both his arms were blown off from the impact of the pebbles, I rushed over and punched through his skull, destroying the floor beneath us. Falling to the basement floor, I could see both Lucifer and Gomori staring in my direction. Before hitting the floor, I scanned my surroundings and noticed the man who'd murdered my family standing behind me. And in a flash, I placed my leg on his chest to use it to propel myself towards Lucifer. The man seems to be unfazed by my very powerful jump, and Lucifer dodges me without hesitation. Gomori, on the other hand, can't seem to keep up with the events that just unfolded. Now standing behind her, I grab her by the throat and glare into Lucifer's eyes. "Let her go, Michael. You can still walk out of here alive," he says in a sure manner. Alive? I've been dead since they murdered my family. I stare at him for a few more seconds before he finally speaks again. "Very well then, a dead man you are." I project my arm into the solid basement wall, while looking into the eyes of the once extremely gorgeous Gomori. As I looked into her angelic face, it no longer gave off the same effect as it did before. I was no longer intrigued by her beauty, but rather disgusted by her demons. Her head disintegrated on impact, and her cold, lifeless body dropped to the floor. Before turning, I grabbed one of the pieces of the once solid wall and threw it with the speed of a missile at the man who killed my family. To my surprise, he caught it and crushed it in his hands. So this must be Bernal, I thought. As if reading my mind, he said with a steady look, "Yes, I am Bernal." Before I could speak, I was greeted with a wave of blows to the chest. He was fast, and he'd already hit me before I could see him move. Was Lucifer faster than him? Could I keep up? Well, there was no stopping now, as I was well into some deep shit right here. I collapsed to the floor, acting as if in pain. It hurt, but it was a mere scratch on my divine body. He calmly walked over and attempted to crush my head with a stomp. I quickly turned over to face him and sliced off his leg with my nails. He jumped back and whimpered in pain. "That was the only blow you get on me, child," he said, holding back tears. To my surprise, he quickly bit off his fingernail. What was he planning? He launched it like a dart, aiming straight for my heart. Oh, my eyes could barely keep up with it. As it nearly pierced my skin, I quickly grabbed it and launched it back. I threw it harder than he did. Oh, he was faster than me, only nowhere near as strong. Yeah, that's how I'll beat him, I thought to myself. He was too slow to not get hit, but he moved just enough to where his arm took the blow for his heart. Missing 2 limbs, he stood there gazing into my eyes. No, into my soul. "You're not like Michael, the Archangel. Oh, there is evil in your eyes, darkness in your light," he said to me. "Yeah, you're a murderer, Michael, just like us," he said with a smile. Without a single thought, I lunged in his direction. He stood there gazing at me without moving a single muscle. He seemed to have accepted his fate. I placed both my talons on the side of his head and looked him right in the eyes. Well, the bastard was right. Maybe I wasn't pure. I sure as hell enjoyed what I did next. Slowly separating my talons from his head, I pushed them together like a magnet. The force of my talons colliding after going through made the room vibrate and Lucifer's ears bleed. Turning, now facing him, he looks at me with the most sinister smile I'd ever seen. "My God, you're an even bigger demon than me," Lucifer said with a chuckle. "You really think they'll let you go up into heaven after seeing that smile on your face?" he said to me, now looking serious. He was right. My smile was even wider than his, and I hadn't even noticed it. I did enjoy killing, but it felt especially good to have killed Benel. There's no way they'd accept me in heaven. "Now, before you come at me, let me give you a word of advice," he said. Walking slowly towards me, he proceeded to speak. "Power is not gained through age, my son, but through death. Drink the blood of those you kill, Michael, and your power will double." Now, standing only inches away, he says, "Kill me, Michael. I'll watch from below. Drink my blood and you'll be stronger than God. We can change this." Ugh. I cut him off mid-sentence, removing his spine through his windpipe, his blood spurting into my mouth violently. I began to understand his words. My body felt the way it did when they first had me drink blood, except this time I didn't pass out. I regained my strength, and more, in a matter of seconds. Feeling as if adrenaline was pumping through my veins, but my frozen heart was unable to pump anything. I'd done it. I had killed the devil. Now alone, I hear a familiar voice in my head. "Good job, Michael. Although, you're not Michael anymore, are you?" Processing his words, I began to understand things I hadn't known before. Were these memories? Lucifer's memories? Oh, I saw bad things. I saw hell. The horrid place was filled with souls begging to escape. I saw heaven. It looked much like Earth, but it was more beautiful. I saw war. I saw the face of God, banning Lucifer and his followers. I felt his emotions. He was depressed. Tears in my eyes, I answered, "No, I'm no longer tied to your soul, correct?" The voice answered loudly, "Yes, that's correct, but you will come up for your rewards." I jumped up, through the roof and into the skies. I saw the portal connecting heaven and earth, and I leapt through it. I was greeted by Michael at the gate. He was smaller than me. I felt his power as he shook my hand, but he could also feel mine. I noticed noticed his eyes seeming to bulge out of their sockets. "My God, you've grown, Michael." I looked him in his eyes and said, "From now on, Michael is not my name. I will make a name for myself. I will be my own angel, although I won't be holy. Shun me if you must, but I've found a new calling. From now on, call me Apollyon. Apollyon, what is thy purpose?" "I will return to earth and purify it. I will rid of those who need it. I am the angel of death." "Very well. You will never be allowed back if you go now. You understand that?" Without saying a word, I turn and drop through the portal. Free-falling towards the ground, my wings begin to expand. Landing on the nearest building, I spot my reflection in a window from the door to the rooftop. No longer do my eyes glow blue, but instead the deepest red, resembling a pool of blood and fire at the same time. And then I hear the scream, "Help!" Well, what a weird and wonderful one that was. All over the place. Didn't quite know what to make of it myself, but had a hell of a time reading it for you all, so I really hope you enjoyed it. Well, that's me done for one night, but of course I will be back again on Wednesday and again on Friday. Well, yeah, that's it. Have a good one, and I'll be back again soon. But until then, sweet dreams and bye-bye. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your time listening to me. Now, if you enjoyed the Dr. Creeping experience, then come find me on Facebook. Come chat with me on Twitter. Listen to the background music and download it if you like on SoundCloud. Drop by the store, pick up a t-shirt. And, importantly, if you've got a story you'd like me to read, send it to Dr. Creeping's Vault, the subreddit I set up so that I could read your stories. Now, looking forward to seeing you all again real soon. So, come check me out, okay?